Good morning, everybody. It's Simon here from careermap.co.uk, the creators of National Graduate Week, and I'd like to welcome you to this first session for National Graduate Week 2021. Today, we're joined by a couple of people. We've got Elaine Boyce from AGCAS, we've got Paul Gratrick from the University of Liverpool, and John Harrison from the University of Hull. And today, the guys will be talking to you about, now that you are a graduate, how can your university career service help you? But before we get started, I'd just like to say there is a chat facility just on the right hand side of the screen. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to jot them in there. We will run through them at the end during the Q&A session. But before we begin, I'll just do some introductions. So, Elaine, would you like to introduce yourself and give us a bit of an overview of your role, really?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elaine Boyce. I'm the Executive Director of AGCAS, which is the Association of Graduate Career Advisory Services.
Paul, did you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, morning everyone. So I have a volunteer role actually with AGCAS and work with Elaine, but my day job, I'm the Head of Operations in the Careers team at the University of Liverpool.
Thanks, Paul. John?
Morning, everybody. My name's John Harrison. I'm Head of Student Futures at the University of Hull. So Student Futures is predominantly the careers and employability function at university, but I also look at some access things, things around widening participation, so how students get into university in the first place and making sure that's fair and equitable. But for today, I've got my careers hat on as Head of Student Futures.
Thanks, John. Elaine, would you like to start with your presentation, please?
So embarrassingly, I started with that "you're on mute" moment, so do apologise for that. Good morning, everybody. As I said earlier, I'm Elaine Boyce from the Association of Graduate Career Advisory Services. Just to do a bit of scene setting, the Association of Graduate Career Advisory Services, AGCAS, is the expert association for careers professionals working in higher education in the UK. We've got over 4,000 members in over 160 institutions, and we're delighted to be supporting National Graduate Week. As I said, we've got members in over 160 institutions, so it's very likely that the career service in your university is a member of AGCAS. I'm joined today by Paul and John, who have just introduced themselves. And Paul and John are going to tell you more about how their career support services are supporting graduates. And I'll give you a flavour of the type of support that's currently available to you. But before I hand over to them, I wanted to talk to you about how the graduate labour market is looking at the moment. And we know that you've graduated in very challenging times. And over the last couple of years, you won't have had the experiences that you were expecting or planning to have. And that you won't have had the experiences that that people who've graduated in the years before you experienced. So that may have left you with some concerns about the future. I would say, however, that you're not alone. During 2020, we did some research with the University of Southampton, and that research was looking at what the impact of COVID-19 had been on recent graduates' career decisions and outcomes. And we surveyed 2,871 recent graduates and found that 83% felt that the pandemic had detrimentally impacted their graduate employment prospects. And almost 80% felt that they were now thinking differently about their future. And over 72% had become less confident about their future employment prospects. So if you're feeling this level of anxiety, as I said, you are not alone. However, it is important to say that the economy is bouncing back, and that maybe some of those concerns aren't necessarily needed. Back in April, a survey by the Institute of Student Employers, the organisation that represents large graduate employers, found that 36% of employers were planning to increase the volume of their graduate recruitment in this year. However, there are some sectors that are still contracting. For example, retail and fast-moving consumer goods, where 38% of employers are still reducing the number of hires. These large employers have also changed how they recruit. They've digitised all aspects of their recruitment, selection, onboarding and development processes. Most see the future of recruitment as blended rather than fully online. So this would mean that there would be a mixture of online and face-to-face recruitment activities. Also, as is usual in most times, the unemployment rate for graduates is less than the unemployment rate overall. To give you an example, the unemployment rate for graduates, which was non-seasonally adjusted, was 4.6 in Q3, which was July to September in 2020, compared with 5.1% for the overall unemployment rate, and in the latest quarter that we have information for, which was Q4, October to December 2020, the non-seasonal adjusted figure for the overall employment rate was 5.2. So being a graduate is still a great thing, and there is more likely to be in employment. As I've mentioned on the slide, and this comes from ADUSA, on the 1st of October 2021, the total volume of online adverts in the UK has increased. So it stood at 139% of the level it was in February 2020, so pre-pandemic. A week earlier, the online job advert stood at 135% of its February 2020 average level. On the 24th of September, only legal and travel and tourism, energy, oil and gas were below pre-pandemic levels of recruitment. And this picture is the same across all UK counties and England. Sorry, let me start that again. I do apologise. It's very early in the morning. This pattern is shown across all of the UK countries and each English regions. So across the country, we are seeing more job vacancies than we were pre-pandemic. So let me just, if now, before I hand over to Paul and John, so as I said, although I know it may feel that things are tough at the moment, as I've said, the job market is picking up and it isn't all doom and gloom, and there is support for you. So University Career Services found throughout the last 18 months that they are supporting more graduates than in previous years, and they have developed a lot of new initiatives to support graduates at the moment. These include things like internships, skills development workshops, virtual assessment centres and other ways of supporting graduates. Paul and John will tell you more about what their universities are doing to support graduates, and your university will be doing something very similar. So please contact your University Career Service to see how they can help you. I'd now like to hand over to Paul, who'll tell you what's happening at Liverpool.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Elaine, for that intro there. So I'll just start the slides now. So for the Liverpool example, and so just to kind of reiterate at the start there, kind of what myself and obviously John will talk about shortly are obviously specific to our universities and where we work. But they're just to kind of give some examples of the kind of things that a lot of university careers teams will have an offer. So if you're suddenly thinking, well, I didn't go to University of Liverpool, what's the point of this? The idea is to kind of give you some ideas, the kind of stuff that's available. So yeah, just again to kind of follow on from that, the final slide, in fact, that Elaine had about universities and supporting their graduates. Yeah, they all do to some extent, but it's not like any just the first week after graduation and that's it, gone. Never talk to us ever again. For the majority, it's kind of a long-term opportunity that you have as a graduate, where you may not actually be in the city where you studied anymore, or staying nearby, but that doesn't matter. You're still able to use all those kind of services and opportunities. And indeed, kind of just pick up that second bullet point there. The actual of some of the positive things that come out of the pandemic. A lot of universities in general, but their careers teams as well, obviously have to offer almost overnight everything that they would have done normally in person in a virtual way. So that's kind of, I guess, in some ways accelerated the shift of any careers teams services to an online version. And for us at the University of Liverpool, that's very much the case, and only to the benefit of our graduates. So pre-COVID, if anyone remember those times, we had a sort of actual building in the middle of the University of Liverpool, where that's where we lived. That's where students would come to see us, and indeed where grads would as well. But because of COVID, we had to create a virtual career studio, as we call it, and that still exists today. We don't see any point in removing that now, and indeed, it's very much there for our graduates. We have obviously a lot of students who are from Liverpool originally, but even for them, actually, they no longer have to sort of travel to campus, and if they've been at the university from further afield, they can now just access that support that they would have used to have done in person when they were students. They can get it online now. So I say COVID has very much kind of made services better for graduates, because so much has had to shift online. And kind of in just in sort of how we approach it at the University of Liverpool, for us, any graduate can use everything we do up until the point they secure that first graduate level role. So not sort of the first job, as it were, but first sort of, I guess, graduate level position, or perhaps a further study course. So that's the kind of time frame, I guess, we put on it. So that's just kind of a bit of a intro there. So in terms of kind of a bit more of what we do at the University of Liverpool then for our graduates, as I mentioned just now, we have this virtual career studio, and that is accessible from anywhere. It's open the same times as our actual live building is. So again, to kind of give that parity there. So whether you're on the world, Monday to Friday, 10 to 5, you'll be able to kind of speak to one of our career coaches about anything. Let's say that support, whether it's I don't know what I want to do, or maybe you've got an application you want someone to get a pair of eyes on, or you've got an interview coming up, whichever kind of points along that, I guess, recruitment timeline you are at, whether it's the very start or right towards the very end, we offer support around that. We have an online platform that's called Handshake. So some of you from other universities may perhaps have heard of this before, but to be honest, I'd be amazed if any careers team in the UK doesn't have any kind of sort of online platform that hosts jobs and events on there. So say Liverpool ours is called Handshake. They're all called slightly different things. Obviously, they relate to maybe either the platform that the university is using, or indeed the maybe university itself. But there will be a online repository or space where you can look at job listings or event listings, and again, all of those sent at University of Liverpool that are open to graduates and not just students. So even if you've left, you can still attend all the events that we put on. So wherever you're from, I'm sure your career team will have this online platform that you can get access to as a graduate. What we also have are a lot of digital tools to sort of around both not just developing your skills, but also from a recruitment angle as well. So a couple that are highlighted here, the one in the middle, the red one, Shortlist Me. That's a video interview platform. So that's actually used by recruiters to, their actual recruitment processes to hire grads. But we have our own license at Liverpool so that students and graduates can actually practice these video interviews. So you log on there, you get asked the same kind of questions, where it's you recording just to a webcam. There's not another person on the other end, but you can get some feedback on your answers there. But again, just to kind of give you the space to practice that. CV 360, just to the right of that. So surprisingly enough, that's about CVs, but that's to sort of it's a very sophisticated artificial intelligence system. So you put your CV in, and it runs through hundreds of checks and things, and then will kind of give you very good, extensive, and quick feedback on that for things you can then tweak and change. So again, a lot of these things are designed now that nevertheless, a lot of our team will work Monday to Friday, sort of 9 till 5 kind of hours. But we have all these digital tools now, so that if it is midnight on a Saturday and suddenly you think, I'm going to update my CV now, you can access these things. So you don't have to rely on the university sort of being open and people being there, as it were. These things are designed to be available when you need them, rather than just sort of office hours. And just lastly, but particularly because of again COVID-19 and the aftermath of that, we have systems now for offering virtual internships and work experience. So the one at the top right there called Forage, that's something again we subscribe to, and that offers these sort of short virtual experiences that you can then put on your CV, and that they're experiences that are kind of often sponsored or kind of put forward by employers, so that they're not just sort of very theoretical, imaginary kind of things. That they're from employers again. So again, like a lot of teams across the country, it'll be similar. That you've got these online platforms, you've got these digital tools. There's a lot available whenever you need to access it. Basically, that's, I guess, sort of one of the main points from this bit. What we also do from a sort of communications point of view at University of Liverpool, so that this is worth referencing, because again, any careers team, any university is going to get in touch with its graduates in some shape or form or another. As a careers team specifically at Liverpool, we have our own digital campaign, which is called Your Future. So obviously, very much about kind of well, as the image says there, your future starts here, and as you can see on that image with the kind of on the green ribbon there. Via this campaign, we talk to a lot of graduates about jobs that are available, support with applications, learning skills. But what we have that are new are these kind of career clusters, and the image on the right hand side there, that we've set up a variety of career clusters all around sort of different career sectors that we know our graduates are very commonly interested in. And we've created these new WhatsApp communities. So we're using WhatsApp because, well, from our point of view, the research we've done, a lot of our graduates are using WhatsApp, so it makes sense to kind of use that. But we've created this almost kind of organic community where, graduates sign up to be part of a certain career cluster. And then we obviously put information out on there, but also then it's an opportunity for you to very instantly reply, or other students can offer their insights and kind of thoughts as well. So it's this very much sort of organic community of graduates around particular sectors of the economy. And the one, the Explorer one I'm showing here, this is actually a group if you don't know what you want to do. So again, while we've got a lot of groups around certain specific sectors, this one actually is for those grads who may feel like, I don't know what I want to do. So that's why we call it sort of Explorer. So again, this is a digital campaign that we run, and we will communicate via WhatsApp or email, through our social channels. But we kind of have a very planned out communications plan, so that even once you've left, you can still kind of hear about everything we're doing. And on that point, actually, obviously in terms of us being able to get in touch, that relies on obviously the university having your latest email address. So often you will have had to give that, or you would have asked to provide that when you graduated or near to when you left. But if you didn't, you'll be able to say go to university and update your address so that you can actually get this information, because obviously it's reliant on us having an email address in order to send. So that's just a point worth mentioning there. And just sort of coming towards the end of this section now, then sort of the stuff we're doing at Liverpool. So again, any university is going to support their regional economy, just almost by virtue of the fact that they are a university in that region. It's very kind of rare that any university wouldn't have a significant impact on the kind of the economy in the immediate area there. So what we're actually doing at Liverpool is that we've created a new thing called the LCR grad scheme. So that's the logo you can see on the left-hand side there. So this is a brand new grad scheme just for the just for the city of Liverpool. It's open to any graduate in the country if you are from or live in Liverpool. So again, you don't have to just study at University of Liverpool, live there now. You could have been from Liverpool originally, but went to, I don't know, what's furthest away, Canterbury or something like that, and have returned to the city. But basically, it's a way of us connecting graduates from the area to local businesses in the Liverpool city region. So it's brand new, and that's something that's for that area. But again, you see these kind of things across the country. So Rise, there, the one in the middle, that's one running the Sheffield area. The one on the right-hand side there, this is a new one that's run by Manchester Metropolitan University in the Greater Manchester area. That's called Your Manchester Grad Scheme. So again, there are, there's only so imaginative you can get with the actual title of these. Rise is probably one of the more imaginative ones, but it's often called whatever the city grad scheme, because that's in some ways exactly what it is. So again, whichever university you're from or wherever you are now, there are probably these sort of similar type schemes available in that city region. And so they're all designed to help people living there now, graduates, join businesses in that area. And as I said, the kind of businesses that are often involved in these programs, it isn't your massive graduate schemes that you've probably seen loads about whilst at university. It's actually probably sort of some companies maybe you've never heard of that are around the corner from where you are, but do all these kind of wonderful things. They may not be household names, but that's because they're probably sort of smaller businesses that don't have the same kind of marketing power, like say Aldi, who can shout about their 40 grand, a year graduate scheme and all this sort of stuff. But say nevertheless, there's some really good roles out there. So yeah, just to kind of sum up then in terms of one final piece of advice, I guess what it was, definitely get in touch. That this is the big thing for careers teams really is that we can offer so much and we can market that as much as we're able to. But if you want a quicker kind of reaction, sometimes a quicker response, get in touch with us directly. And I say at Liverpool for us, that's email, it's social, it's the WhatsApp groups. You can go to our virtual career studio and pop in. There's several ways you can get in touch. But when you do, that's when we can start supporting you as best as possible. And I say, whether you're at the very start of a process, you don't know what you want to do, or you're coming towards the end of an interview one, or maybe you've actually got a job and you want to change jobs. You've got it, you don't like it, you want to do something else. Again, it doesn't really matter what point you're at in your career. That's irrelevant. We're there to support you with your career, wherever that may be. So I say, as much as Liverpool and other teams will actively kind of get in touch, do just give us a shout and we'll be there to support you as much as possible. So yeah, thanks for the time this morning, and great to see so many people kind of here early doors on the Monday. I'll stop now and I'll hand over to John. But yeah, good to see you all this morning.
Good morning, everybody. My apologies. My slides seem to have disappeared. So if you just bear with me a second. I'm not entirely sure what's happened. Please bear with me. Out of all of us, it was always going to be me. I don't mind tech, but it seems to have a big problem with me at the moment. So I do apologise. Just bear with me. And we do have a saying in East Yorkshire that it's never dull in Hull, which is an absolute lie because it's positively miserable this morning, compounded by the fact that my slides have disappeared. However, it's Monday, so lots to look forward to. So just bear with me a second. It is there. We're in. Brilliant. So sorry about that little delay. It was always happens. I don't think a week or a day goes by where some technical issues don't happen anymore. So it's part of the new normal, I suppose. So I'm going to go over again a few things that we've already mentioned today about accessibility and what we're doing at Hull, which echoes some of the things that we've already heard, which is great, which should indicate a level of consistency, I think, across the sector. HE careers are trying to be more accessible and are more accessible, which is a good thing. And also go on to a few hints and tips for you as graduates that you may need to think about as you progress. So from our perspective in East Yorkshire, like most career services, we during COVID, during that initial lockdown, we moved very quickly to bring all of our provision online. Lucky in the sense that a lot of our provision lends itself well to the use of tech. I think COVID and the lockdown hastened our capacity and ability to do so. It really evolved the sort of service rapidly, but I think we were always heading in that direction. It just made it a lot quicker. And certainly been able to sort of look at our flexibility of approach, how we would increase engagement, how would we support graduates that found themselves in very, very tricky waters and a great unknown, and very much still in that arena, really. I know we heard from Elaine about the labour market sort of bouncing back in certain sectors, but it's still a very anxious time for lots of graduates and lots of complexities to navigate. So again, all career services are looking at how we best support graduates to navigate that. One of the things that we've done is we started looking at more twilight sessions, so you can access a specialist careers consultant, outside of office hours. Lots of our social media has access, will grant you access to various platforms and things like that, and more interactive social media engagement as well to sort of send the message and make sure that we're reaching as many graduates as possible, which is really good. It's really enabled us to think about that, and it also gave us time to reflect. We did take stock sort of as we entered the this current academic year out of lockdown. What does that look and feel like for students and for our graduates? And again, more so, as we move forward, the great unknown of coming back onto campus. Is it going to be, what is the demand like for face-to-face versus virtual? And we're still trying to figure that out. So as it currently stands, we've got a blended approach. We've got sort of 50% of our opportunities to speak with a consultant, whether you're a student or a graduate, are virtual, but also on campus as well. And we'll see where that takes us. But what we will say, and this is probably the case for most careers services across the country, is we'll be reactive to what the data tells us. If there's increased demand for face-to-face, then we'll put more face-to-face opportunities available. We'll make them more available. So we're always trying to think about that. So where are we now, and what do we do for graduates at Hull? Well, we are a lifelong careers service. We've always engaged with graduates. Graduates always come back to us, but probably more so in the last 18 months, I would say, because of the complexities that we've spoken about. But and again, the message should always be, just to echo what Paul said, is if you're a graduate from a university, do not hesitate to go back to that university for some sort of support. Okay, they either can, as in the case with Hull, where we've got that lifelong service, and Liverpool's up until your first graduate job, but most will be able to signpost you onto other support services as well. So for our we had GradFest this year, which was good for us. It was a 3-week sort of festival to help us celebrate the fact that you had graduated, and that's not easy anyway, but certainly not easy when possibly your final years were during lockdown, but also to get ready. So we had lots of employability focused group-based provision. We had employers come in and deliver sessions, alumni, practice assessment centres, the whole shebang. But it was very much around that. Let's celebrate the fact that what you've achieved you should take note and should be very proud of what you've achieved, certainly given the circumstances. All graduates from Hull continue to have access to our opportunities platform, which is Job Teaser for us. That continues even though you've lost your student number and your student ID and student account and things. You carry on having access to that platform for as long as you need it. And also continued access to our self-help resource section. So a resource section where you can go on and look at resources, looking at a CV, for instance, and watch some videos, get some pointers, download templates, all that type of thing. So it's self-help. Quick and easy access to our services. So the next bullet point is help us to help you, referral form that can be accessed via our social media. We recognise if you're not a student, the way it works at Hull is you may have to ring a phone number and get through to 3 different people before you can get an appointment, or an email that goes into an unmanned inbox, for instance. Well, the help us help you referral form from our social media comes directly into the team. It goes directly to the careers consultant that specialises in your degree subject area. And we aim to get back to you within sort of 5 working days on that. So that's a quicker graduate way of securing some support from the team. And again, reinvigorated social media output. We continually engaging, again, echoing what Paul said, trying to get the messages out there. So it stopped. I think it's evolved from, this is traditionally where we would put, oh, this is a great job that's just come up, to more interactive things around, have you checked your CV recently, and things about graduate outcome survey that's coming around, and how we can engage with that survey process that helps us sort of plan. Internship schemes, I'll come on to that in a second. I've got another slide, but again, just to, most careers teams at universities will have some sort of internship schemes in different guises that are there to help you gain that support and give you that next step, and give you a chance to experience the workplace if you've not had a chance to do so. Create that more impactful CV when you've got experience, and certainly help you navigate selection processes in the future. We have some employability grants. We're lucky that we work with quite a number of trusts in the local area that give us different bits of money for different things. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail, but there are pots of money to enable you to access opportunities. If you've got to get a train somewhere, for instance, and money's tight, we can look at whether one of the grants can support that for you. Again, I'm not going to dwell on the detail, but if you complete a help us to help you referral form, or you engage with us in other ways, the consultants can speak to you about that. And an employability awards scheme, that doesn't stop just because you graduated, whether you didn't complete the award whilst you was with us or you want to start it again. Again, the referral form's there for you to re-engage with those employability awards. So just on to internships. In our second year now, what we call our internal graduate internships. And again, this is not uncommon. It's not unique to Hull. So we wanted 100 opportunities for 100 graduates, and we actually hit 115 this year. So they're opportunities within all university departments. They're full-time paid in 12 weeks. So we've done that. We've got 115 blend of 2020 and 2021 grads. So next year it will be 2021 and 22. So really good opportunities for those that are maybe struggling to find that next step, to give some really good concrete work-based experience. They're typically project-based, objective focus, to give you a real short, sharp, 12 weeks of achieving. And that's our sort of tagline from internal graduates, is it's objective focused. Okay, so you're on an internship to deliver a piece of work for the institution. We have our Humber internship program, so much more like the LGR grad scheme, RISE, and Manchester Met's RISE scheme. Ours is the Humber internship program. Again, a very imaginative title there, but you do run out of things and acronyms to say. Luckily, ours is HIP, so that rolls off the tongue quite nicely. So again, based within regional SMEs, so small and medium enterprises that are maybe not got the clout, like what Paul was saying, to proactively promote their opportunities. Certainly a lot of ours at the moment are based around the innovation space. So a lot of SMEs that have come out of COVID and now want to innovate and grow. We're placing graduates within SMEs to enable them to do that. And again, same as Liverpool, our residing and returning graduates. So if you've been educated elsewhere in the country, but you reside in the Humber area, or your non-term time address is in the Humber region, you can access this programme. The way that you do that is you go onto the website, you click on the student or participant tab. It's a quick form, and then that comes into the team, and then the team will get in touch with you again within 5 working days to start the eligibility and application process and start looking at what opportunities we have. The programme benefits from on-programme pastoral and professional support, and it also up to 12 weeks full-time, and they are paid. There's some flexibility around that, but typically that's the model that we adopt. And we also have charitable and voluntary sector internships. That's what we manage internally as a careers team, just to unlock some of those third sector and voluntary sector opportunities that are so rich and give such really unique and rich experiences for graduates. But again, maybe these charities lack the ability to be able to promote themselves and offer opportunities. So we have an internship scheme that supports the third sector locally as well. So that's a whistle-stop tour, I suppose, of what we've Hull in. Again, the consistency with ourselves and Liverpool and most institutions, you shouldn't hesitate to get in touch with your university. I've put this slide up. This is a slide that starts our top 10 graduate employment things you need to know sort of session that we did as part of GradFest. Sorry, I put my teeth back in. So I'll walk you through some of these. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time, but just things to consider. So one of the things, evolution of skills. We talk about skills quite a lot in the sector, but what employers want, what employers define skills to be has evolved, and it's important that you understand that as graduates. And there's lots of research out, a lot of things you can read, and lots of employers' websites and things that will mention skills, and it's certainly in the press at the moment. But you need to unpick some of this stuff. Evolution of skills, around enterprising skill sets. That's not being able to start your own business, but it's recognizing opportunities within business, within sectors, within that post. So that's an evolution of that skill set. Some things you need to think about. And the big thing is recognizing that A, you've got those skills, or B, skills that you need to develop, but how do you articulate that you've got those skills and navigate a selection process? Whether that be, an application form, a CV, or some sort of virtual selection process. Again, which takes us on to point 2. How employers recruit graduates has changed. I think, there's always been online recruitment, but I think that's becoming more and more prevalent. But it's also diverse. Some employers now are saying we're going to blend, we're going to have face-to-face and online. I think. So the big tip from that section is understand when you're applying for a post with whoever, make sure you understand the selection process and that you plan for it. Don't take it for granted it's going to be online. Don't take for granted it's not going to be online. Really get to grips and plan that out so that you can navigate it more effectively. Option 3, industry knowledge. So that the sort of commercial acumen It's become more and more important. We're seeing from employers, not only do they want all of these skills, they want you to be a good graduate and all those things and a good person, and also what do you understand about our industry, our sector, where are the peaks and troughs, how has it evolved because of COVID? Typically a lot more challenging questions that we're seeing our graduates are facing at selection processes. So you've really got to research what you're getting yourself into. The online stuff is not going anywhere. I think Elaine alluded to, initial onboarding with employers, if you're looking to secure a role, is now very much becoming online and again blended. But again, that's also changing. You need to understand, once you start those early negotiation processes of securing a role, is understanding what onboarding looks like. Empower yourself. So alternative to work experience, if you're still navigating applying for work and jobs and other things, there are other things you can do to sort of empower yourself. There's lots of online training and upskilling courses centered around the tech sector and basic code writing and things that enable you and arm you with different things that you can put on a CV and talk about. The big thing for me, one of the big things is what you wanted, where you wanted it, and where you were looking for may have changed. What has happened is locally geography has changed because of the use of tech. You may have come to your hometown university and have spent the majority of time in that city and would not have even thought of looking for jobs elsewhere in the country, but now you can. We did some work with a graduate last week that was looking at a role in Portsmouth, but lives in Hull, but the role only needed him in Portsmouth for sort of 3 days out of the month. So he wouldn't have dreamed of looking at Portsmouth, but it's his ideal role. It's what he wants to do. But because of the evolution of where we are now, he can access that job now. So things to think about, take stock. Item 7, beyond graduate jobs, I think we get focused on main graduate schemes, graduate recruitment schemes. There are lots of other jobs out there that are not graduate schemes, but require you to have a degree to access. Local authorities are a good one for that. So broaden your search criteria, I suppose, one of those. COVID legacy, I'm not going to dwell on, we've been there. Application strategies are essential. So don't have a scattergun approach to applications. Pick 5 and do 5 really, really good ones and have a strategy. Some of the points that I said earlier, understand what that employer's recruitment process is like. What do I have to navigate? What are the timescales? What industry knowledge do I need to understand? What do I need to know about that employer and sector to help me navigate? And the last one there, in terms of, your Student Futures team's got your back, that's prevalent to us, but most careers team will still be available for you. So just some general advice: create that action plan, think about an application strategy. What are you going to do and when are your deadlines? Don't miss deadlines. What have I got to prepare for online selection, face-to-face selection, those things. All HE careers teams offer some sort of support, so do not hesitate to access. And we all, most have some form of local economic impact program around internships, placements, employability grants and things. So don't be afraid to sort of engage with careers teams, and also don't be afraid to re-engage during the academic year. We've got lots of events going on during our trimester 1 on campus, but we readily accept and invite graduates to come back onto campus. So please do that as well, where it's safe to do so and where your university is doing that. And some universities actually have specific graduate advisory roles, so actual dedicated support for graduates to navigate the labour market and things. One of the big things for me is if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no. So don't hesitate to go back to your institution. And be resilient. You may be turned down many, many times, but you only need one yes. And a lot of that is out of your control. If there's 100 applicants for one post, your chances do diminish regardless of your experience and how well you do an application process. So you've got to keep going, because you only do need that one yes to sort of kickstart yourself. And that might even be an internship from a university. And that's just a nice little a shot of some of the members of the team. We're quite a handsome bunch, I think. So thank you for that. Elaine, I'll hand you over to you for closing remarks.
Thank you, John and Paul, for that. And I do hope you found some information there that will help you with your job search. As Paul and John have alluded to, all career services provide support for their graduates, and there is a great deal of opportunities out there for you. We're not downplaying how tough it probably feels right now. It is tough, but there is a lot of help and a lot of support, and there were some great opportunities out there for you. I'm going to hand back to Simon because hopefully we can begin to answer some questions for you. So I'll ask Paul and John to join me back on screen, and perhaps Simon can begin with some questions from the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. Thanks, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, cool. So we've had a few questions come in. Some you might have touched on already, but we'll just run through them again. And if you can elaborate maybe on a few of the points. But yeah, I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. So John says, I left uni 3 years ago. Can he still get support? Who would like to answer that one?
Shall I jump in?
Go for it.
Yeah, so it will depend on your university and the support that they're offering to their graduates. However, I would say go back and ask, because if they don't offer the support directly from the university, they will, as Paul mentioned, be able to direct you to the support that is available to you. You are able to access a national career service and other support as well. But your university should be your first point of call, because they will be able to direct you, if they're not able to offer that support directly, to the best places for you.
Thanks, Elaine. There's a couple of questions on this. So a few people saying sort of the best way to stand out from other graduates in the market. How can they stand out from the crowd? Is there any advice and tips, to make applications better, interview techniques, etc.?
I'll start off. We'll see where we go with this one. But so there was some recent research by the Institute of Student Employers. That's similar to AGCAS, an organisation, but for all the graduate employers in the country, really. They were asking their members, at which point do applicants, students and graduates, tend to sort of, fall down in the process, and it's the vast majority. It's right towards the start and early stages. The main reason being that their applications aren't tailored to that particular company or role. Now, I get that sitting here, it's very easy for me to say, you need to spend time tailoring your applications, all this sort of stuff. But it is absolutely the case, and I understand the pressure that some people may feel under to, I've got to send a lot of applications. If I send 100 out, right, surely something's going to come back. But employers are very sophisticated, and indeed some even use artificial intelligence now to screen those early applications. And so if there's a generic application that's gone in, as it were, that's not going to kind of cut it really. So when I sit here and say this, and indeed if you probably ask your careers team and you had got in touch, they would say the same thing about tailoring that application. That will help you stand out. Now, what I mean by tailoring it is that, in some ways, any job description kind of gives you the answers, as it were. It will tell you what the job's about, and it'll often have a skills section where it says, this job needs X, Y, Z kind of skills there. So whether it's your CV or it's in an online application, make sure you're answering those specific things that this job description is asking for. And that's what I mean by tailoring it, because that's I did this at the University of Liverpool. We hire graduates, quite a lot, and all we're doing is taking the job description and their application. Are they giving me examples that they say, yes, they've got communication skills or can work in a team or whatever it might be. So it's I don't mean to make it sound overly simplistic, because it's not, but that's kind of what recruiters are doing. So and use a variety of examples. Again, in terms of standing out, we as an employer or other employers know that often you haven't got 10, 20 years of experience that you're suddenly going to draw on. So use examples from your academic work, maybe use it from any work history, and that if that's just working in a pub, fine, that's not a problem. That's often the kind of roles that are available to students and grads. So we get that. But again, even by sort of a vacation role, in a pub, there's a lot you can talk there about, strong customer service kind of skills, or time management, and managing multiple kind of deadlines and priorities. So don't feel like these are irrelevant and unnecessary. Those kind of roles show that you've tried to develop your skills outside of just your studies, really. So yes, those would be two central points, really. I guess kind of do spend time on your applications. Quality, not quantity. Absolutely, couldn't say that enough. And again, don't discount things because they may seem of low value to you. Actually, the kind of work experience or just volunteer things you've done, get these on your CV and show the kind of things that you've done.
Brilliant, thanks, Paul. Anyone like to add anything to that? Or? No, you happy? Okay. Chris says, sounds a bit frustrating here, but he says he's searched absolutely everywhere for jobs in his field, but he just can't seem to find any. What do you suggest he does?
I'll jump in quickly on that one. Just to reiterate the messages that we've been saying, I think was it Chris? I think go back to your university to see if they offer support fairs, because what most teams will do will certainly at Hull, we protect a lot of time for our consultants to do research and certainly around jobs is to look at where are jobs, where are evolving fields, what does labour market intelligence tell us. There's always new sites that come up. There's sometimes sector-specific sites that we'll be aware of, or the consultants will be aware of, that you may not be aware of, that are not readily available from a quick Google search. Some specialist areas, and obviously our own networks of employers as well. We every university career service will have networks of employers where we will get a sense of where there are peaks and troughs within sectors. What's needed in certain places. So it is frustrating, and you do need to be resilient. But like I said earlier, have a strategy, have a plan of attack. Just reiterating what Paul said is, we need to focus on some good quality applications rather than a scattergun approach. But it does start with recognizing where there are opportunities. And there's also the hidden job market. We talked to our graduates at Hull about the hidden job market, where the predominant sort of labour market in the Hull area is about 85% SMEs that will not advertise on any sort of grad scheme or main recruiters' web pages, who may not even have the capacity to advertise, but they've got capacity. So never shy away from speculative approaches either. But again, that shouldn't be a generic speculative inquiry. You need a strategy for that as well. You need to understand what the employer is about, what they do, and how you can contribute to tailor a covering letter and a CV that speculatively goes into an employer as well. So a few things there to sort of have a think about.
Brilliant. Thanks, John. So what Jasmine is talking, Paul, you mentioned the Liverpool hub for graduates. Jasmine's saying, is there a national sort of hub for this, because she's not from Liverpool, or do you know of any other sort of county sort of led projects or anything like that?
I don't believe there is a national hub of grad schemes, actually. So I know that's absolutely not the answer you were looking for. But I mean, if without knowing where you're from, Jasmine, actually, if there is one in your area, the university's careers team would know, and because I'd be extremely alarmed if they didn't. So without knowing where you're from, if you go to that university's careers team, ask them, they would know if there's one in that region. But as I said, I don't believe there is sort of a like I say, national hub of grad schemes across the country. No, and indeed, I think the reason that in some ways because that doesn't exist is because, like for example, the Liverpool one, you have to live in Liverpool. So advertising it further afield is in some ways there's no. And the same for others, so that they're for that region as such. And again, I know that doesn't help you in this scenario, but again, without knowing where you're from, go to that city, regions, university or universities, and maybe more one, and they would know if there is one in that area. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Terry says, which are the best websites for finding graduate jobs? Any things that you guys have used helping other candidates?
Well, I mean, again, this may sound like an obvious answer, isn't it? But again, your university careers team have online platforms. I say we've got one, called Handshake in Liverpool. John's talked about the job teaser one at Hull. There's there's various platforms. That doesn't really matter who the platform is, but at the end of the day, that university's careers team will have a online repository of jobs, of events, of opportunities. That's one place. And again, if you're still in that region where that university is, there's often more likely to be. So for us at Liverpool, we obviously have a lot of roles in Liverpool on our site. Oddly enough, hell surprise there. So again, if you're looking for something local to where you are, that's a good route to go. I mean, just in the background, whilst we're on this, went on a site called Target Jobs, and there are about 1,200 graduate roles on there. So that's just one site. There's garden jobs. If you Google graduate jobs, there's plenty of the sites will kind of pop up. So there isn't a shortage of sites and a shortage of roles. I don't think at the moment. What you'll find is actually, take that Target Jobs example there. There's 1,200 jobs. Well, okay, where do I start with that? If you perhaps haven't got an idea of roughly what kind of thing you may want to do, or a bit unsure, 1,200 jobs is, well, it might be 12,000. It doesn't really narrow it down for you, does it? But again, where I'm going with this, trust me, in a positive way, is that there's stuff out there. Speak to your careers team about it. They can help you navigate sort of your values and what you want to do, and just to take what is maybe 1,200 down to even 120 or 60 or whatever, just somewhere that's a bit more manageable, where you can start to go through those and find something that appeals to you. So those are some of the headline places I guess I'd suggest. I don't know if Lane, John, you've got any others that you'd throw in there?
Yeah, I think just to add is we do get hung up on sort of graduate schemes and graduate pathways and things. There are plenty of jobs out there that are not part of an official graduate scheme that just require you to have a degree to be able to access that level of opportunity. Local authorities are really, really good. You get to sort of a certain level and they need a degree regardless of your experience before you can access that role. Local enterprise partnerships, very similar. So I think it's try and understand that context as well. Grad schemes are absolutely fantastic and are an important part of that recruitment piece for graduates, but there are plenty of roles out there that just on that, essential criteria, there's lots of jobs that say you need a degree in a relevant subject, those types of things. So broaden that scope out a little bit, and that does become a bit all consuming because you go from 1,200 and things like that, but you need to start there and bring it down, and you can start sort of understanding trends as well within sectors. You'll see certain job titles that come up time and time again with different employers, and understand, well, if it's different employers but the same job title, is it the same job or is it different? Is it slightly different? So these are things that we're coming back to, that application strategy and having an action plan is really get down what you want to do, where you want to go, and help you navigate this. Is something that is useful, I think.
Yeah, really good point, John. I'm just going to plug Career Map, by the way. I've just put a link in there to our graduate jobs on the website. I've got quite a lot there. And I just suggest people signing up for job alerts on different websites in your chosen field. And hopefully you'll get them delivered straight to your inbox when they go live. So yeah, thanks for that, guys. Cameron says, and this one is for you, Elaine, do AGCAS help graduates get jobs?
Directly, no, we don't. We are a professional association, so we support people like John and Paul. Sorry, excuse me, there, getting people wrong early in the morning. To do that through University Career Services. So our role is to represent the sector, but actually the work of supporting graduates is carried out by the University Career Services.
Okay. Thanks, Glenn. So there's a couple more here. Pete says, do you have any support or guidance for graduates looking to find a job abroad?
This is unique to Liverpool potentially. So again, it may not apply across the board, or forgive me where we're from. But in terms of finding roles abroad, we subscribe to a site called get this right now, Career Passport. So that's something the Wizard Careers team sign up to, and that gives us and our students grad kind of access to it's similar to kind of what we talked about earlier with sort of online job boards and events and stuff. It just has it per country, kind of links to things in there. So it's a bit of a interesting one that it depends on the country. And again, I know that sounds like a possible rubbish answer, but a lot of my team, we can't support with things like if it's in a different language, for example. Sometimes, if you wanted to, translate a CV into Mandarin, I'm going to struggle with that. I'll be honest, and some may, but so yeah, it depends on the country to a certain extent. And where we actually do a lot of joint working is in this area is with our study abroad teams. Obviously, they obviously work more often with current students, doing that sort of study abroad type thing for a semester or a year you may have heard of. So we will, piggyback on some of their contacts and relationships they have. So again, from that we can kind of offer some support. So again, this feels like a very rubbish answer. I appreciate it. Yeah, it depends on the country, but and it depends on the university. But again, because a lot of universities inevitably have students from across the world, that they by consequence kind of have links into some of those countries and regions, perhaps. So that's kind of I don't know if John, yourself at Hull, if it's similar or any different or anything to add.
Yeah, very similar. I think what we're experiencing is the world is getting smaller, and I think sort of the dare I say there'll be a potential increase in appetite, I suppose, for UK grads to seek employment in international waters, shall we say. Again, I think language barrier aside, I think again is going back to that same rule as if there's a really good job that's right for you, that you want to do in a place where you want to be. Again, try and contact your careers team from a university. At the very least, we can help you unpick that job description, support you to articulate and navigate that recruitment process, selection process, and really think about some of the practicalities of working abroad, on a general sense. Again, working with our study abroad team in our international office, we can join that up. But we've had a few that have come to us over the last couple of months that are looking at traveling internationally. Just in itself is difficult with COVID restrictions, but and a couple that are looking at jobs elsewhere. And there is some essential guidance we can give around navigating a selection process, unpicking a job description with you, supporting you to unpick that sector in that country, and a lot of signposting as well. So go back to your careers team again, I think, and gain some of that advice, and maybe a different lens and a different perspective is also useful as well.
Thanks, guys. Paul, John, have you got any sort of experience of helping graduates start their own businesses? Is there any sort of hubs or websites or organizations that specifically help do this?
Yeah, so I mean, again, this probably applies to a lot of careers teams where, again, sort of, as John mentioned earlier, kind of our role isn't just about, graduate job. We often support students and grads into maybe further study, or as the question is here, actually starting your own business. So a lot of career teams, again, either as part of their actual team, and it's the case here at Liverpool, or if not, have very close links and associations to any sort of what you'll see kind of termed like enterprise or entrepreneurial kind of departments within their university. So you often see those kind of things. So again, I mean, you're going to think we're just sounding like broken records, but contact your local careers team, and they will, if they don't have that sort of startup support, they will often know the team that do. Just looking around, there's if you're in Scotland, there's something called a business gateway, which is a lot of resources and things for people looking to start their own business. There's also one called Nesta that I can't NESTA. I can't remember what that acronym stands for now, but they again have a lot of kind of links, resources if you're looking to just getting started or you're a bit further on. So there are some national associations again that have got online resources and events you can go to if indeed, say, from your local university doesn't have anything yet.
Brilliant. All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap up now to come to the end of the session. Elaine, would you like to leave some parting words for the audience today?
I'd like to thank you, Simon, for inviting us to take part in National Graduate Week. It's been really great. I'd like to thank John and Paul for supporting to this morning and giving advice and hopefully some information that people can take away and act on. I think my parting words would be, it's a tough time, and I know it's a challenge being a graduate at this moment, but there are opportunities, there are opportunities, but there's also a lot of support available to you. Your University Career Service will be there for you. Please get in touch with them. Tell them Elaine told you to, I don't mind. But, get in touch with them, see what they can do to help you. And we do wish you the very, very best of luck with your career and the future. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's been a really helpful session. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Just to say, this session has been recorded and we'll upload it to the Career Map Live section of the website in the next few days. So you can come back and refer to it at any point if you want to recap. And just to say, we've got tons more events this week for National Graduate Week. So go to nationalgraduateweek.uk and the events section, have a look there. We've got tons of different stuff from various different employers and graduate supporting organisations to hopefully help you. So yeah, we'll love you and leave you, and take care, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you.